welcome to the 72nd episode of NiinaN Knitting. My name is Niina and I live in Jyväskylä in central Finland with my husband, our 2 kids and a dog. Today is Sunday, the 17th of October, and this is the third time I'm recording an introduction to this episode. I've just been so super crazy busy with work that I haven't had time to edit the episode. So this time I'm sure I can do it. So I started working before, on the 10th of August or something, and it's been crazy. It's been crazy. I haven't even had a lot of time for knitting, so I don't actually have super many projects to show you either. I do have I think 1 or 2 finished ones, and I actually have 2 works in progress that I have here with me. I'm in the countryside right now, and I've worked on two projects. One of them is a new one, and I'll be showing them at the very end of this episode. The stuff that I showed you at the beginning as an intro, there was sceneries from when I'm driving back from work. So I have an hour's drive to work and another hour back, and at the beginning of, let's say that late summer, beginning of autumn, we did have some pretty nice weather and nice views, so I took some footage of it a long time ago, and I put that at the very end of this episode. The stuff I'm going to show you at the end of this episode is from my trip to Iisalmi, which is a city in the eastern Finland. I spent a weekend there at a dog show, and they had some artwork there, and they were pretty nice. So that's what I'm going to show you at the end of this episode. But I don't really remember all the bits and pieces that I've recorded after my last episode, which was I guess in June or something. Let's see what I have, and come back to you with my whips. These are my Norwegian Ridgeback socks by Heidi. If you've seen my podcast before, you'll know that she's my absolute favorite sock designer, and this pattern is another beautiful one. I used some Filcolana Arwetta yarn and 2.5 millimeter chaugu needles. I knit them on magic loop 2 at a time, and it's a cuff down sock, so you cast on a number of stitches here, and then you start the cuff, and I only did 2 repeats of the cuff, but you could have made it longer if you wanted to. And then of course you add the beads. I used the floss method. Let's see if I can remember to put a link down below to show you which method I used. But yes, so if you like socks with cables, maybe a bit of patterning, you'll probably find your favorite from Heidi's designs. So yes, top down, you have quite a bit of beads here, and then of course the heel, which I believe is called the Flegel heel. So you make, you make some increases here, and then when you have completed your increases, you start turning. Ooh, it's difficult with just one hand because I'm holding my camera in the other one. I'm holding my phone. So yes, so when you have increased enough stitches, then you start to turn the heel. And of course, her instructions on how to do it are impeccable. And of course, well, I have knit so many of her designs that, well, I can't say that I remember it by heart. I do have to read the pattern and read the charts, of course, but I don't find it difficult because I know what to expect in a way. But yeah, oops, focusing on the second sock that's on the background. Yeah, but so you have cables and then you have some patterning inside the cables or between, however you want to see it. And I really like them, but it took me quite a while to knit them because knitting beads and cables is probably not the easiest takeaway sock project. And since I've not been at home much and I've been knitting in the car, I can knit this sort of a sock in the car, but we've spent quite a bit of time here in the countryside, and there are the little nephews and nieces, little nephews who let's say just are a bit of a risk if you're trying to knit stuff like that. So I've been taking my time with these socks, but whatever, they are so beautiful. Why not take your time when you're knitting a pair like this? And this is the first time I've used Filcolana Arwetta. It feels very soft in your hands, or in my hands. And well, we'll know how wearable, how well they wear, or how well they resist against wear. But yeah, very pretty. And if you're making a shawl, I think that the Arwetta yarn would be really nice for a project like that because it is very, very soft. So I finally finished it, the Kalevala blanket. Each square and the joining and the border have been designed by various Finnish designers. The patterns are online, free of charge, and there are very good video tutorials on how to crochet each square. I used those tutorials a lot because they were not easy to crochet, or well, didn't understand the instructions very well. There were a lot of new stitches for me. And I finally finished it. I've blocked each square after I finished them. I haven't blocked the whole thing because this is big. There's nowhere I could put a blanket of this size to block at home. So I'm probably going to have to leave it at that. Of course I could lay it on the floor in the living room, but it takes time to dry, and we need to live in that living room. So this will probably be where it is. I started crocheting it when there was a knit along or crochet along for the blanket in 2017, and I bought a kit for the blanket. So it was a certain number of skeins of different colors, and this is how much I have left of the border yarn, which is lighter weight. So it's Menita Pia yarn. The fiber content is the same in both yarns. It's 75% wool, 25% polyamide. And there are 130 meters in 50 grams, so it means it has 260 meters in 100 grams. It's the same weight as Novita Nalle. And the thicker yarn is the same weight as Novita 7 veljestä. This is Menita Lasse, and it has 200 meters in 100 grams. And I think this is a full skein, but not a lot of extra yarn. I'm pretty happy. I had enough of each color, but I didn't have a ton of leftover yarn. I do have an idea of what I'm going to make with the rest of it, but I'm going to show it to you when I get to it. But yeah, this one is finished. I have one more finished object to show you. It's finished, but I have not woven in the ends of one of them. But these are the Elsa socks by Jaana Talvitie, a Finnish sock designer. I'm not sure. I guess this could have been a free pattern on Ravelry, and I should have checked, but I didn't. You'll see that on the screen whether it is or not, but it's deliberate that I have not blocked one of them, so that you could see at least what it looks like if I don't block a sock that I have just finished knitting. So this is how they come off the needles. This is a cuff down sock. It's got just a little bit of color work, a very basic Dutch heel turn, and a bit of color work before the toe decreases. So very, very simple. The only modification I made was to transfer the gusset decreases, not here on the sort of side of your foot, but here under your foot and sort of around your heel ball, whatever it is. Yes, so this is how it looks like when it's been blocked. And then after blocking, I wave in the ends. And let's see with the other one. So first of all, of course, you can see the difference with the ribbing. But then the actual color work, let's see. The actual color work, it is a lot smoother here once it's been blocked. The color, the yarns I use, this is Novita Venla, and the orange is Austermann Step, I think. They're both fingering weight yarns, and they're the same weight, so they go nicely together. But as you can see, this one has some bumps in here, and this one, the one that I have already blocked, not so many bumps. For the sort of little ticks in here, I did use the ladder technique, and I think it works pretty okay, because one of my problems with color work is that I tend to knit it too tightly, and when I have long floats, then my color work will be just not possible to get it on your foot or just, past your heel. But this way it is nice and stretchy, so easier to put it on you. But yeah, it's got some charts for the color work and just basic written instructions for most of the sock. These are a little big for me. Yet to be determined who gets them, but my foot is about 38 European, and I guess these are like 40 or something, so we'll see what happens. In the original pattern, of course, because this is Elsa socks, so Elsa from Frozen, you've got some very light, like aqua or light blue color in here, and the one that's yellow with me is red, not red, is white. But I wanted to use stuff that I had, so I had a leftover, or maybe a full skein of this Venla, maybe. Anyway, this one was a leftover, so I decided to try and knit some color work for a change and use up some of my scraps for the color work part. So this is pretty okay. I do have a work in progress, but I'm not going to show it to you because, well, first of all, I don't have it here, and second, I haven't really made a lot of progress. So it's the V-back tee that I've shown in previous episodes. Now it's coming along nicely, but it took me ages to to cake up the yarn. So now I have, and yes, when I have time, I do. That's what I tend to pick up and start knitting, because it's pretty straightforward right at this moment. It's just plain stockinette, doing short rows, but I'll show it to you when I get to that stage. Okay, my first work in progress is a beanie, and it all started with this scarf that I'm wearing at the moment. This is, I think, a pattern by Helen Stewart. It was a mystery knit along at the time. It starts with one color of yarn, and then has this off-white, and then another sort of variegated or self-striping yarn, and then the off-white again. So there are 3 different yarns in this shawl. I don't remember its name. I'll put it on the screen. But I knit this, I think, maybe 2 years ago, something. And I don't really have a beanie to go with it. So for a long time, I was thinking that maybe I'd use the 3 colors and make up, and use some of the sort of patterning from the shawl in the beanie, but that would have required a lot of work, at least from my perspective. So no, I didn't do that, but I did make a beanie, or start a beanie with the 3 yarns. This is a new cast on, also work in progress and a new cast on. So this is where I am at the moment. This pattern is the Musselburgh hat, or Musselburgh, by Isolde Teague. I think that's how you say it. You'll find it on the screen. And the idea is that you start from one end, do the increases, and then you just knit on until you have a certain amount of centimeters, and then you decrease, and then you put it like double. all the way. And the pattern has stitch counts and all sorts of gauges for different weights of yarn, and that's how I did mine too. So I started with this yarn. So this is one of these Langyarns Mille Colori that I used in the shawl. And this colorway has sort of grays, different grades of gray and then a little bit of brown in here. And I also had, as you can see, a fluffy yarn with it, and this one is Adriafil KidSeta. So this is 70% mohair and 30% silk, and it's got, this is a 50-gram ball, I think. No, 25 grams, and it's got 210 meters in one ball. And as you can see, I've run out. So this is on hold for the moment. So I started with this color, then I used the off-white with the mohair or silk mohair, and this is just Novita. Oh, the ball band's in a very bad condition, but this one is Novita Venla. Oh my goodness. It's a fingering weight sock yarn. This one's got 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and 425 meters in 100 grams, I think. No, 400 and maybe more, 420, I think, 420 meters in 100 grams. Whereas this Mille Colori is 73% virgin wool, 25% polyamide, 2% polyester, because this one has some stellina in it. Just doesn't show on camera ever. But there are 200 meters. There are 400 meters in 100 grams. So this one was Novita Venla, and then there's another colorway of this Mille Colori, Langyarns Mille Colori. And what I'm going to do is knit straight once I get more mohair until I get to the decreases, and then I'll pick up this colorway again. That's the plan. We'll see how it pans out, but that's how I tend to do it. But I don't have a lot of this Venla yarn yet left, so we'll see what happens. But this has been my work in progress of this week, more or less, but just ran out of yarn. And because I ran out of the silk mohair, I had to pick up an older whip, or actually it's a hoe. It was a hoe. So if you remember, I made one of these mittens maybe last spring, perhaps, where I'd done the cuff in this gray color, and then started doing the sort of main part of the mitten in two colors, the gray and this orange, and the main part is in double knitting. So I said whenever I had made this that I might do a video of how I did that, and I've actually started recording it, and this is how far I've gotten in the second mitten. So I've finished the cuff, although it could have been longer, but since I had made only this far of, or this long of a cuff in the first one, then I just did the same in the second one, and I have started doing the double knitting, and actually I've also started the thumb gusset. I just started doing that. But these two yarns, before I forget, I think I have the ball band somewhere in my project bag. So the orange one is this Bice Borgo de Pazzi. I've made a pair of socks out of this. It's got 420 meters in 100 grams, 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide, and the other one is also, I think, 420 meters. I don't think I have the ball band in here, but it's got the same meterage of yarn, 400 grams, and 25% polyamide. I'm not sure of if it's just wool, super wash, but if it's just wool or maybe not merino. So something. I think I do have it on my project page, and you'll find the link to my project pages from all of my projects down below in the description bar, where you'll see all the notes that I make from this episode. Now here's a book I read just a couple of days ago. This author, Michel Bussi, has a lot of best-selling novels in his home country, France. Some of them have been translated into English. For example, this one, they haven't been translated into Finnish though. But yeah, this one is called The Wrong Mother in English, Maman, and it's got this little boy whose name is Maman. He's 3.5, and it starts, the opening scene of the novel is when Maman is at the airport with his mother, and they're checking in, or they're at the airliner desk getting their tickets for a flight to Caracas. And then, well, that scene goes on a little bit longer, and then the book starts 4 days earlier, and it talks about what happened in Malone's life before that. So he had started school, sort of a school. I guess it's more like a kindergarten in the States, and he's talked about his other mother at school, and the school psychologist has taken an interest, a special interest, because the stuff he's been saying has been very precise, unusually precise for his age, and he's kind of curious what this thing about another mother and his previous life is. So he started questioning, and he got the phone number of sort of a chief of police or something, Marianne Ogress. Anyway, Marianne is her first name, and they talk about these characters by their first name very often. So he calls Marianne and explains what the situation is, that there's this boy who's talking about another mother. At the same time, Marianne and her officers are trying to solve a burglary. Oh, is it a burglary? No, a holdup in 4 different high-end magazines. That's French shops. Louis Vuitton and a jeweler and something like that. So very expensive stuff. And there were 4 robbers who each went into one shop and held it at gunpoint and took some stuff. And 2 of them were killed after that, but and 1 was identified in some surveillance cameras, but the 4th one hadn't been identified, but they had a very good hunch about who that is. So the chapters of the book go back and forth with the sort of hold up plot, and then about Malone and what happens, and who they are. Does he really have another mom and another dad, or has he had another mom and dad before, and then what happens afterwards. It's quite a thick book. It's some 500 pages. Pretty big and airy writing, so not a bad, but it's quite a thick book. Very, I really liked it. And since I know there are a couple of other books from the same author in our library, I think I'm gonna read another one in the future. I do have quite a bit of a stack to read at home, but yeah, this was a good one. Just a little bit of chatter before I really try to wrap things up and edit this. So yes, I started working. I teach at a vocational institute, so I have quite a few courses for vocational students, which means that I'm teaching English to metal workers or students of the metalwork field. I have students of beautician students. I have hairdresser students. I have cars and logistics students. So even though the English course isn't very advanced English, I'd say the vocabulary is not familiar to me, at least not all of it. So yes, I've had to do a lot of preparing for those courses. In addition to those English courses, I have a group of athletes who have just started learning Finnish as a second language. That's been interesting. I haven't taught Finnish as a second language for beginners ever. So that's taken a lot of time. It's not easy to teach your native tongue as a foreign language, as a second language. And then I have a few courses for high school students, because some of the vocational students also do their high school studies at the same time, so they get a sort of a double diploma at the end of their studies. They take the matriculation examination and get their vocational diploma. And I haven't taught at high school for many years, so that's also something. I'm sort of updating my knowledge of high school English, so that's fun. And actually I just started to teach beginners English to immigrants. So people who are not from Finland, who've come to Finland for various reasons. They know some Finnish, but I teach them English in Finnish, which is a foreign language to them. So yeah, it's very, very challenging for them, and I feel for them. Usually I'd say that they know English better than Finnish, of course, because Finnish is not a language you'd hear in different countries, but you do tend to hear English more or less wherever you go, or in very many countries, let's just say. So yeah, I have very different groups. I have a lot of different things I do with them, and it's very, very, very interesting. Professionally, I think it's I'm enhancing and acquiring knowledge of different fields and different courses, and I'm very, very thankful and excited to be working there, even though yes, there is the hours drive to go there and back, but of course in many places an hour's commute is not a big deal. But yeah, I must admit that driving there for an hour, teaching for a full day, driving back, and then preparing for the next day's lessons, it can be tiring. At the moment I'm on fall vacation, woohoo, together with my kids, so I do get to rest a little bit, even though I do have a couple of things for work that I have to do during this week. I hope the wind isn't too bad and that it doesn't destroy the sound, because I don't have my headphones with me where I have my mic. I forgot them inside, and I just didn't want to go back again, because I really, really wanted to wrap this thing up. Okay, I hope you're having a great time. I hope that fall is treating you nicely, and we're heading towards Christmas, aren't we? Yeah, have a great time, and I'll see you whenever I see you. Bye.